Hey everybody, welcome to the dialogue. It's Ed with Free. Just kind of having a little bit of free time doing a dialogue. I've been working on the website. Want to invite everybody over to the website, of course. Freecircle.website. That darn thing. I've been working on the social share buttons on that website. And I have been using a caching plugin for the site to speed it up. And the two different plugins are having a conflict. So I'm trying to adjust and figure out the conflict for the share buttons there. I've got it where it's working because I took the caching off of the site, but the site will load a lot slower, of course, without the caching going on there. It's a lot quicker for a page to load off of the caching. So anyway, yeah, I'm looking at a few different plugins. I'm looking at the settings inside the two plugins that are having the conflict. I know which two plugins they are. However, when I do have both of those plugins both activated at the same time, they want to both pull the image and throw it onto the share. So the image that you see when you share to Twitter or Facebook or Pinterest or wherever you're going to share it, that image, if it's not pulling from the correct place, what happens is it shows that little gray avatar guy. And that's pretty sad to have your shares looking pretty bland. So now there's two ways that this plugin operates for sharing buttons, and I've got it actually right now for the generalized use this image for all the shares. However, I want to have it per post, so it shares off of the post. And I've got that working. However, excuse me, some of those posts, it pulls off of the page instead of the featured image. So I'm still going through all the settings to make sure I've got them right so that it's pulling off of that featured image for the page instead of just a image off of the page or the first image or the last image off of that page. So yeah, it gets a little hair pulling at times. Now I remember why website work is so daunting and aggravating at times. So just working with simple plugins and whatnot can actually make a guy go crazy. So when you're actually plugging into that PHP, and yeah, it gets a little odd and weird what it conflicts with different things. So you got to work all that out. So that's what I'm doing here lately, is teaching myself again how to interact with websites. And I've been working on Audacity for audio. That's interesting. Yeah, I like Audacity. It's making things very easy now that I'm understanding how to use it a little better. So amongst all the winterizing and all the other life ordeals, when I'm up at night, because I can only stay down to, if I'm lucky, 3 hours at a time. And I've got to get up or I just hurt like heck. So that's what I do. I get up and I tinker and I try to do something useful, and I find that this is actually being useful for me. So this is what I've been building myself up with, is all these different learnings. Forget about my self-pity side, which a lot of us need to do at times, because it's easy to slip into that. But if you're able to just kick yourself in the rear and say, hey, get out of that and let's move on and do something different, then you're not insane, because, doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result from it, that can be determined as or defined as insanity. So I'm definitely not insane. I hope not. No, anyway, let's move on to the update about the website. We're getting things off and running. It's got consistent flow of information now going on. I'm actually getting possibly a couple other people posting on the site and getting different news from different areas. So when people do go to the site, they have a little bit more coverage from different viewpoints. And, I try to be very inclusive on a lot of news, and I try to find things that I don't necessarily agree with, and I put those on. I make other people's voices heard. So, this is what I'm working on. I'm trying to build inclusiveness and the willingness for others to participate without getting hammered and slammed because they're different or their views are out of the box. It's good to be different. It's creative. If you're within the rule of law, and that is subject to particular views and opinions also. So we've got to be careful when we dive into that stuff. So what I'm trying to build with Free Circle here is an educational site where you can go get news of different opinions, have a biased outlook and a biased opinion on all of the news that is put on to the website. And I link news articles, and then I also what I try to do is give a heading, and I try to keep it excuse me, as the writer put the heading as much as possible. And then I try to drop a photo in there, and then I grab a paragraph or a little caption of that article that I find that's highlighting the article, and then I link to the article. That way I'm not trying to plagiarize anybody, or I want to highlight people. I want to make sure people's voice gets heard, and I want it to be inclusive. So that's kind of what I'm working on. It's a challenge. It's hard. It's making me overcome personal challenges. And so I'm investing a lot of time and will and energy on this. Excuse me. So, yeah. And I've got the theme that I'm working on in the background. I'll release that someday, but I want it to look good and be what I actually want for the site's final moment, when I finally release. And I'm actually going to look into some other people to help with that. What is it? Graphic design aspect, because I'm not a graphic designer. I throw these images together, but I have no clue at what I'm doing really. And I want for, a good header and a good footer base. And I want all those aspects of the site to be eye-catching, pleasing, and not what I think should be there. So I'm going to work on possibly doing a contest, or I'm not sure yet about that. But yeah, that part I haven't figured out yet, what I'm going to do with the graphical part of the site. Right now, it's just a basic, here's my logo, this kind of what I want to look like or feel like. And, I'm buffing it up, making it look a little cleaner on the back end. And then when I release it, it'll look a little better, I hope. But yeah, I kind of send these ideas to people that I know and get a little bit of feedback here and there, but I don't know if it's really truthful feedback. That's the issue. It sucks that people can't just be truthful, So what? You got to be butthurt once in a while to progress in life and make sure that what you want to accomplish is going to happen. If you can't take a little criticism, well, get off the boat, because there's a tidal wave coming, buddy. When you start this stuff, I remember when I started a sole proprietorship, that was nerve-wracking. I just don't believe the work that it takes to get stuff going. And then finding the right people is key. This is something that's a big challenge. I'm finding it to be the most challenging aspect of the whole project to put together, is finding, number one, reliable people, and people that are honest with themselves first, and then with other people, and then with their abilities. And a lot of people just can't look at themselves and say, you suck at this. And I like to be able to do that. I like to, and that's not a bad thing that you suck at some things. Everybody has a niche. Everybody has a talent, and they all fit in there somewhere. So once we find our niche, that's when magic happens. Things start rolling, things start happening, and dreams come true. I'm a big dreamer, because with big dreams, little things start to happen. So I dream really big when I go into something. And once I start putting myself into something, well, I hit those brick wall moments, but by God, I back up, I put some extra weight on the front end, and I plow through that. That's how you get things done. It's all about attitude and focus. And once you get thinking and not letting other people really make you feel bad with their criticism. You got to start looking at criticism in a good way. Okay, I'll put that on a checklist and see if I can implement that into a change. See, and sometimes it's good criticism. I take it right off and I implement it. Like 2-3 weeks ago, couple weeks ago, somebody on this show, said my logo sucked. And I thought so too, but nobody said anything. And I had a phone number out there, reality hit. Well, hardly anybody calls the number anyway. And that graphic sucked. So instantly I changed the logo back to the design that I had made for me, so because obviously I suck at graphics. So you've got to be able to tell yourself, well, work on it. Don't give up on it. But if you're trying to do this for your outcome, maybe you should get a little help. And excuse me, we all try to pinch pennies here and there, that's for sure. But I try to do everything myself. That way I learn, I'm hands-on, I get the full feeling, the full effect of what I'm into, what I'm doing. So when I'm into it 159%, not 100%. It's overcoming, adapting to what you've got to do and getting it done one way or the other. You've got a lot of learning to do in life, and just because you're over the age of 50 doesn't mean you are the smartest guy on the planet, because you're far from that. And when you can't learn from the child or the simple person, well, maybe we ought to look at ourselves. How are we looking at ourselves? And that I do that a lot. I look at what I'm doing. I look at how I'm doing it. And sometimes I have to go back and apologize or make correction, and if I'm wrong, I make sure I do that. I go and I correct that. So there's a lot of learning when you build what you want to do in life, and the ability to overcome all of the challenges. And you got to look at them like little tiny Lego blocks. You're putting one together at a time, and pretty soon you've got that Lego phaser that you can take out and play with. Or maybe you're building a Lego castle. Who knows how big and grand your project is. However big it is, do it one Lego at a time instead of looking at the big project all at one time. And I've learned to take my time, slow down. If you're not sure of what you're doing, study a little more, understand. So that's what I've been doing. I've understood I don't want to be in the place where I have been in life. I've been in a healing place for about 10 years now. And I went from a very violent, anger-filled individual to a calm, peace, wanting harmony for everybody, because life is hard. And I've been on both sides of that stick, and I can really get over my anger a lot easier now. So that had to come before I could build anything. And to find that good, solid foundation, just being able to say, hey, I'm not going to do this and walk away and take a minute, that's hard to do for a lot of people. Young individuals with a lot of testosterone pumping through their veins, Yeah, I remember the days, so yeah, when we fill our time with positive energy, take all of those negative past moments and put positivity to them, it's a joy. It's a process, but it's a joy. We see a new beginning, not only for ourselves, but I've actually now seen healing start for other people. I've seen ties that have been broken being mended, and my ability to interact and socialize is getting easier again. I've hungered for that for a long time because I've always been a very open and social person. And when my accident happened, it made me withdraw with so much anger and hurt. But I went through that for a reason. And now I understand more why I went through all of that. So now I can build from that. And this is what I'm doing. I started a website. I started a podcast first. I dabbled in websites quite a while ago. I used to sell them on eBay. But yeah, that was just a hobby. I never really got into it professional. I never went to school for it. Everything I do is self-taught. So here I am. I'm teaching myself some more website work, and I'm dabbling a little in PHP. That's kind of cool, actually, what it can do. But that's really deep, and that's going to take a little time. However, now on my podcasting side, that's where I've come out of my darkness. And it's a primal need of mine to exert what I've learned to the masses. And I want to do it in a way that people are willing to accept. And I've got a lot within me, and I'm coming out of all of this hurt and dark feelings and into an area where I'm trying to figure out how to help those people that are going through those dark times, because it's bad to go through those times. And the more we understand everything that we surround ourselves with, it makes our day. Everything connects. A little bit of a bad feeling over here and not taking care of it right then will boil over, and then you bring it over to your wife or your family, and that's not a good thing. So what people have to do is they've got to learn to open up and communicate in a boundary type way. You set boundaries. Every person has to have boundaries, and only you can set your boundaries. Know how much you're going to give and how much you're going to take. I'm much more of a giver than a taker, but every once in a while I have to take, and it's everybody has to do it. So there's nothing wrong with taking as long as you're giving, and giving back, I feel, more than what you've taken, because what you've been given, you should be able to expand with and provide a little more. So when we start building, we've got to plan efficiently for a good outcome. So I never overextend too much. There's a lot that I want to do, but I can't afford to do. So I do it in little small packets here and there. And eventually, little phaser gun, Lego phaser gun. So anyway, the idea is I can take what I need out of what I have, and then the extra, I don't set back a lot, and I should a little more, but I try to help as much as possible, and I find these little ways to adapt and implement. So, but then there's things that I want, and basically what I want is like my website. I've been into that for quite some time here now. I implemented the buttons, that I enjoy that visual change. So yeah, it used to take a lot to really get me excited. Well, it doesn't take that much anymore. It's big deal. There's other things in the world worth more of my time than all of my needs and my desires. So look at Venezuela, guys, gals. Venezuela right now, I've got to tell you, they're eating rotten meat. They're eating sinew and fat. There's individuals buying sinew and fat to make soups for their children. And there are so many of us here in the United States that are bickering. We throw more food away. I'm telling you, the world really has to come together and really start seeing the wrongs. And let's start making them right. And that's what I'm building. Free Circle is trying to spread awareness. I'm going to drop a link to the website in the chat, but it's freecircle.website. It's going to grow, expand. I'm highlighting individuals. There's a person spotlight or people spotlight. Right now, the spotlight is on a young man out of Colorado. I believe it's Arvada, Colorado. I usually call it Denver. Everything over there around there is Denver to me. It's all one place. But he's out of, I believe, Arvada. His name is Josh Wood. And he's got a little thing going on Reverb Nation over there. And I think the young man has a lot of talent. And, I put him on to get a little bit of spotlight going for him. And, you got to listen to a few of his songs over there. It's wonderful. A few of them needs a little work, but every artist works on their progress. And this guy is, I don't know, maybe the next Garth Brooks. but a little bit of instrument behind him, and a little bit more work on his length of his songs, he'd do all right. I think he's doing okay. So just a shout out to Josh Wood, person of interest over at freecircle.website. Another person, he's on the activity post side, Mark. Mark is a wonderful man. This guy does a lot for the homeless people. He's on the activity post. Invisible People is his YouTube channel. And Mark goes deep inside of the homeless camps, and he does a lot of active work, and he participates a lot with homeless. I admire Mark. Not many people have what it takes to go down and associate with homeless people. And he's got a thing going with Hanes. I want to thank Hanes, the shirt people, sock people. They do work with Mark, and Mark is able to hand out little basic necessities such as socks to the homeless individuals. So when you have corporations like Hanes that are participating and understanding the little guy does need a little help here and there, that's a good thing. I applaud Hanes. I encourage more companies to use that model. Reach out, help people. People helping people, it'll get the world changed. And it matters. I don't do a lot, but I do as much as I can to try to push awareness. And there's a lot of people hurting out here. And if you're one of them, take time, contact me. There's contact information all over for me. So you can email me at freecircle@mail.com. There's the newsletter sign up over at freecircle.website. We're going to put a monthly newsletter out, and that's going to have a lot of interesting features. And we've got some other things rolling out as we progress. We're still working on these darn buttons. But yeah, as we get carried on and going on, we'll build and give more updates. However, I encourage anybody out there listening, help somebody today. Buy them a cup of coffee. Buy them a hamburger. You know that little drunk person out there with no teeth? Just spend a few seconds and say hi to him. Smile at him. Let him see your teeth. It's just that simple. Take time, reach out to somebody, and it's about people helping people. Don't take advantage, give advantage. Thank you for joining the dialogue. Thank Dialogue for providing a website where people can get their voice out. It's an awesome platform. If you're listening to Free Circle from some other platform, this audio has been generated over at Dialogue, and that's getdialogue.am. Come on over and check them out. They're a good site. You'll find a lot of interesting people, a lot of knowledge, and a lot of entertainment. There's sports, there's self-help, there's business help. You're going to find it all over here at Dialogue. So come on over, check them out. Thank you for joining us. Ed, Free Circle, out.